This makes a partly filled barrel using some of the same techniques from the video on making open barrels of grain. That video is linked below. Before starting, watch the video from Crooked Staff Terrain linked in the description, which explains how to make barrels. What's being done here is also based on that. There's also a link to the textures from Crooked Staff that are used. The first step is to make the contents of the barrel. I'm using a children's modelling clay from Essenson, linked below. It's air dry and pre-coloured, but it doesn't dry hard, which makes it unsuitable for some projects. Other options are such as white DAS clay with acrylic paints mixed in, or pre-coloured oven-baked clay. The red and green clay is rolled in the palm of the hand to make balls of about the same size. These are apples. The beige clay is made into irregular lumps of different sizes. These are potatoes. The orange clay is rolled into a small ball, then one side is rolled to taper it to a carrot shape. These are, of course, carrots. The clay takes 24 hours to dry, so here are some that were made earlier. As well as that, you need some 14mm wooden dowel. Saw off a piece about 30mm long and sand both ends smooth. I also have a longer piece of dowel that I'm using as a form. As explained in the Crooked Staff video, cut a piece of toilet roll. The piece used here is the same size, the only difference is that a second line isn't drawn. You need one piece of the barrel interior texture, cut slightly shorter than the piece of toilet roll at 2 1/8 inches, and cut in half. Tighten the curve of the toilet roll using the longer piece of dowel, then apply glue to the back of the interior texture and stick it to the inside of the toilet roll, leaving a gap at one end. Leave this to dry. Once dry, wrap it around the long dowel, marking the overlap. Then apply a glue stick to the interior where it overlaps and wrap it around the longer dowel again, making sure the bit where there's no texture is hidden under the cardboard. Leave it on the dowel to dry. I find wrapping rubber bands around it helps keep it in place. Once this is dry, cut a piece of the outer barrel texture that's 2 1/4 inches long. Apply glue to it, then wrap this around the outside of the barrel and leave it to dry. Once this is dry, get the small piece of dowel. Apply some PVA glue to the wooden dowel around the outside and push it inside the cylinder, making sure this is done from the bottom part where there's no texture until it is flush with the bottom. Leave this to dry. The next step is to add the fruit or veg to the barrel. First, I'm seeing roughly how much of the clay fruit or veg to add. Next, I mix this with a small bit of PVA glue, then transfer it into the barrel. If it looks like I need to add some more, I will. Leave this to dry. The final step is to add paint or varnish to the clay. For the apples, I'm using some Vallejo gloss varnish to make them shining. Here's a barrel of apples that's had time to dry. For the carrots and potatoes, I'm dry brushing some Vallejo black game ink on them to make them look dirty. Here are some different open barrels of fruit and veg. More can, of course, be made, but these are some of the easiest to shape. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to our channel. Be sure to check out the other videos on crooked staff terrain as well.